Hello and welcome to Paradox Parkway, your home for pop culture, confusion, and fun. I'm Steve Sikoryak, your host. Hi. Do you like mind benders, contradictions, paradoxes, time travel, slow walks in the rain? Me too! I'm glad you're here. This is one of our first podcasts, and technically one of our last podcasts. Just depends on how you want to measure that. It's like the phrase, one of the greatest films of all time. Well, every film is one of the greatest films of all time. Just depends on how high on the list it is. But I can guarantee you this is one of the greatest podcasts you'll ever watch. Think about it. Today's guest is legendary writer and musician Mike Nesmith of The Monkees. I sit down with him to talk about his 1982 film Timerider. It stars Fred Ward as Lyle Swann, a motocross racer who, while traveling through the desert, accidentally drives through a time travel experiment and is sent back 100 years in the past. I hate when that happens. To him, the surroundings look relatively familiar, but to the locals, they love his motorcycle and they must have it. For me, you had me at time travel. Here's a quick look at the cast. I sat down with Mike to talk about the film, and I got that. Plus, we talked about our existence, the universe, and more. Is there more? Anyway, in the upcoming 3 segments, first we'll talk about his philosophy toward writing, then we'll talk about the making of the film, and then we'll talk about the score that he composed for it. And I'll check in between each segment just to make sure you're doing all right. All today on Paradox Parkway. Enjoy. Enjoy! Today, we're speaking with musician, actor, producer, author, businessman, etc., etc., etc.
Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
Mike Nesmith.
yeah.
Nez, welcome to Paradox Parkway.
Steve, thank you so much for that welcome. Where is Paradise Parkway?
So Paradox, to time.
Okay, it's not anywhere.
Not anywhere.
Perfect.
It's like us, we're virtual.
That's it. I'm just getting my coffee going.
When I think of you, and I said I'm going to talk about Timerider, but I kind of want to bring us there. I love how creative people explore new projects. And so you had a lot of success with the Monkees and First National Band in your music and continue to, but film production seems a step behind. So what got you into that?
Let me come in the back door of that.
Sure.
I think that I had this conversation a lot. I think what would happen is when I would talk to people about what do we do here, since it was continuing to come back, you have to straighten up whatever you're doing to the planet is now doing back to you. You got to understand this is a reaction from our home. And so I've been looking around. Well, I say I understand it. I mean, I get the idea, which is, don't crap where you eat. You get this sanitary perfect spot which has been reserved for us throughout time. Go ahead and finish our development. Who the hell knows what we're going to be compared to what we are, and how does that manifest? And when I was writing all the way from Timerider, which was ha ha ha, to the other things which were not quite so ha ha ha, but I didn't know quite so much about it. When I'm writing it, it's trying to crawl out from under this terrible weight of mortality. I mean, it feels really abnormal to me. I suspect it does to you. And it doesn't track with anything I know in terms of the eternality of heaven. And defining heaven is a big part of I don't want to call it a job, but it's a big part of what we do on earth, is we create this place that we all thought was magical all this time. Turns out it's not magical at all. What it is the state of mind, or as Jesus said, it's at hand. So at hand, what does that mean? Well, it means it's right here. And so you take that for what it's worth. I take that for what it's worth and go about every day saying, how can I demonstrate this? How can I manifest this? how can I make this happen? And one of the first things you can do is shut up and listen to Steve.
I'm taking that answer as,
Over to you.
it's another outlet for you to demonstrate why you're here and find some other avenues. So film production, to get a little more, earthy, is another talent that you found that you could play around with.
You mean all the things that the moral structure of society and humanity have tried to teach us, and art is teaching us, when that comes in the window, we have to open the window and we have to let it in and we have to listen to it and what's going on. That's what these books are about. There's somebody at the door. So don't just let anything in, but take a look through the people. Like, what? Who are you? What are those things? Is that a rake or is that a sword? Anyway, blah, blah.
You mentioned Timerider as a ha-ha thing.
See, a lot of people don't realize that Timerider was, in essence, funny. And because nobody left, we thought, oh, maybe we didn't hit, we being me and Bill Deere, maybe we didn't get the ball where we were supposed to get it. But something happened with Timerider. It was like, oh, no, okay. And so we retreated off into side rooms and stuff and talked about it.
The thing with time travel is time travel fans are very particular.
Tell me some of the things you've learned about time travel fans. What is it that makes them kind of cut off the whole weird Timerider approach to time travel? I mean, I'm screwing around with this notion that I am my own grandpa, but it's not, it's not really about that, because it's not about succession. It's not about the next tick of the clock. That has nothing to do with time. Those are measurements. We find out, and we pretend to know where we are by saying, we're almost all the way around the sun for this 365 days. We're not there yet, kids, though, so stay in the car and keep your hands and arms in the doors. But we're almost around it. Let's see how we do.
You're absolutely right. It's a measurement. Time doesn't even really exist. It's not tangible.
That was one of the things I wanted to introduce, not quite so hubristically as saying that nobody had ever heard it before. We have to remember that we're in control here. And it doesn't seem like it when the beloved great-grandfather falls over dead, or worse, the beloved great-grandperson falls over dead. And we think, oh my God, it has been visited upon us, this satanic hell from who knows where. That's not true. That's as true as time travel is. Maybe it can happen and maybe it can't. I don't know how to do it. I'm just write stories about it and tell jokes about it. But you and I bonding together, as the world is kind of doing right now, we can defeat it. I mean, stop it. Bring it to a close. Eliminate it from the landscape of human thought. And then the baby's gone. I don't mean a real baby. I mean the little demon that is the virus. I don't find a whole lot of people on for that, because they say, well, I don't know, I don't have a sword that kills virus. And I know that's all that because we're moving into a higher plane of thought. And the fact that we're going through a disease, no surprise here. Just go back over the historical record of humans, the history of mortals, and we do it about every 12 or 15 months. Everybody dies, and then we all come together and say, oh, don't eat any more of that, and then we're back on the road again.
It happens before, it'll happen again.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm thinking this is a part of a cycle. And when I wrote Timerider, it had not started.
Hey, remember me from the beginning? I'll be with you in 1 second. I'm just checking my Paradox Parkway bingo card from the first segment. Let's see. Mortality, humanity, and eternality. That's a bingo! So, you know the phrase, write what you know? It's interesting. Mike is now going to talk to us about how he wrote for a time traveler. Interesting.
Let's say you're a time traveler and that you can go any place you want to across all barriers of time, what do you do? Where are you going to go? And in almost every instance, I had to honestly, as an author, answer the question. And the answer was always, I don't know. Tell me where you get the best milkshake. Tell me where you get the best burger. Tell me where you get the best, I don't know, vegetarian meal. And the fact was, I didn't know. So the cluelessness of that gave me some sort of insight into who Lyle Swann was. He's a dude. Hey, oh yeah. Oh, that's a cool bike. I can go. Where are we going? Baja, love Baja. You know, no, it's time travel. Yeah, I love time travel too. You know, they got great beer so you're talking to a little bit of a goofball. And it was frankly kind of hard to find that guy when we were casting it. And I think Fred Ward got it pretty quick. He was, he was trying to play an action hero. And I don't think Lyle Swann was an ideal, but there he was. And it was, the story revolved around it. But 60% of it was a joke. Here, did you ever try these? You don't have any preserves, man. And, it was Chris Mulkey was looking at him like, you are a moron, aren't you?
Well, I enjoyed it because it's just a man out of time.
Yeah.
He's got all his future devices, like his motorcycle, his compass, his helmet.
All his appendages. You're exactly right.
I also like that he had a paper map that he's, for some reason, he couldn't comprehend.
No, it's it. See, I don't know. I got this and everything, man. Yeah.
So that was always fun. But you mentioned about your own grandfather. For me on Paradox Parkway, I like the stuff that I can't unravel in my head. And Timerider's got two of those. He's got he went back in time, met up with Claire. Well, she kind of took control of the situation.
As they do.
As they do. Met and fell in love, I guess. And I know.
But keep going. I know anytime you drop sex into the mix, you kind of have to assume there's some attraction.
So, and then it turns out that he's his own grandfather. So wrap your head around that one.
Yeah, do that one, yeah.
so that he can never exist. But the other thing that I love is the locket, which is a very common time travel device. The locket is what they call an ontological paradox. It's an item that has no origin because she got it from him, and then he got it from her, and then she got it from him, and then he got it from her. And that just always goes, but no one ever bought it or built it. So,
well, they're in that cycle that you just described. So it's a nice, short, clear way of describing it. What you find out is that he not only doesn't know where he is, he doesn't even know why he is. He's wandering in the time travel landscape that he's created for himself. And that's the secret. He's created for himself. Every time he pulls that gun out of his holster, every time he loses his temper I don't know what Chris Mulkey's name was in this show, but to the sheriffs who are out of their jurisdiction, that effect is measured throughout known existence, not the known universe, known existence. In the known universe, we got spaceships. We got a spaceship up at Mars as I talk to you. Yeah. Think of that.
I know.
Where do you go to the bathroom? I don't know. Is there a bathroom up there? Where do you, have a bowel movement? I mean, I go into that crazy stuff and I don't have answers to that. So since I don't, that's a clue for me. Shut up, sit down. Listen to Steve, listen to me. And so far I've done all the talking in our interview.
It's been great. One of the things you just mentioned, just to finish with Lyle, was I like that element of your story that he did not know that he time traveled.
Well, God bless you, because this was the argument that Bill Deere and I had all during the writing of it. And Bill said, how can you have a movie about time travel if the protagonist doesn't know where the hell he is or she is? How can you do that? He's got to know that he's sent back in time. And my constant rejoinder and the argument, which I obviously finally won, is how does he know? How? Yeah. If he doesn't ask, how can he ask a question like that without seeming like a complete fool?
Why would a normal person ask that question anyway?
Exactly. I mean, it's kind of weird glitch.
But getting back to the time travel fans, time travel fans tend to like these things spelled out. Back to the Future, Marty sees a newspaper,
There
and
you
then
go. That's it. It's a constant thread through these kinds of movies. Yeah. Keep
So that was
going.
great. I thought it was great. He's in the desert. The desert looked the same 100 years ago. Perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing with Timerider, like you were in what I'm calling the golden age of time travel that decade.
No,
You got
you may be very right. I don't know. You may be right.
Well, listen to this. Time After Time, H.G. Wells is at 79. Final Countdown has a aircraft carrier going back in time in 1980. Then Timerider,
Wow.
then Philadelphia Experiment, then Back to the Future, then Terminator, then I mixed them up, then Bill and Ted. So you're right in there.
Yeah, yeah. That's very interesting that you frame it up like that, and I think it's accurate. Sounds right to me. Does that sound right to you, Melody?
Yeah.
Yep, Melody's on.
Check. It's been checked and rechecked by the team.
Checked and rechecked. No, you're exactly right. It is a conundrum that is never addressed. When you put the credit card in, nobody says, when will this hit my account? Except somebody who doesn't know how a credit card works. And you don't ask the cash register because he doesn't fucking know. It's like, I don't know. I just put it in the machine and you leave with the whatever it is. You got the adjustable wrench.
I leave it to the gods. I accept the technology, whatever.
That's right. Well, the time has come for us to reach down and grab the handles. We've got to grab the handles. And here's the problem. Nobody can see the handles. Where are the handles? Where are the means of control? Where are the control surfaces? And everybody I'm talking to is going, I don't know. Oh, great. We're in a good, maybe I'm not in the right wheelhouse of this boat. Let me see if I can get forward. I'll go up to the nose I'll go up to the prow of the boat and I'll see where we're going. Well, no, you won't. You don't know which way this boat is pointing. You don't even know where the front of the boat is. And suddenly the reality of all that dawns on me, dawns on Timerider, dawns on Lyle Swann. And it's like, I can't do anything except just respond to where the universe is taking me. The universe being the pandaverse, means all things. Where are we surfing toward on the great ocean of time? I don't know. Have no idea. Had no idea that I was going to be here. I was hoping for it. And, realizing that my hopes were establishing what was happening to me. But I didn't inculcate that anywhere. I was just sitting there and what the heck was that? And so I guess I think H.G. Wells had the same problem. You get out there and you think, yeah, where does this go? And as far as you can see, it's dead.
Well, I like bringing H.G. Wells. He said, let's go to when they figured everything out. So he goes 800,000 years in the future, and they still haven't figured everything out.
No, well, because the premise is wrong-minded. You don't figure everything out because everything is not a puzzle.
Yeah.
It's not.
But he was a believer. He saw changes slow over the centuries, and he believed that if you just wait long enough, you'll get.
Yeah. How old was he when he died? Do you know?
He died in 1946. I'm going to guess he was in 60s, 70s.
Died in 1946. What a writer, too. I mean, I really enjoyed his stuff. Well,
Quite the vision.
That, in a way, we are in that H.G. Wells warp. And I think we are. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what you were just talking about with, trying to change, get to the front of the boat.
Yeah.
I think change over history is so slow, but every generation sees the opportunity.
Yeah.
They want to make that change, but it's just increments to get that change.
I'm finishing up a story right now where the means of control stay permanently hidden to the traveler. But the traveler begins to take on this idea, I'm out of control here. I don't know where I'm going. Well, we never knew where we were going. We were never out of control. We just didn't know. And if you look back at it, now I'm going philosophical on you, you'll see that at certain times in our lives, there will be things that happen that pull us back onto the path of history, onto the path of good fortune, onto the path of life, families, and what we see happily and hopefully drawn by people who are alive. And you think, how do we do that? How do we make that work? And they're making it work a little at a time. I mean, it is like trying to, surf a glacier. I mean, because all ice in every direction. And so it's a conundrum that goes on. A conundrum means kind of an unsolvable problem, I'm saying to people who don't know and don't want to look it up. And a conundrum, he's in a conundrum that he doesn't see an answer in any direction of thought. So he sits down, he opens an Exxon map. That means nothing like that. And then he's assaulted and raped, much to his surprise. But it's all going to solving the problem. And how the problem is solved, if you've read the book, and if you haven't read, spoiler alert, a helicopter shows up. Now, it is Deus ex machina in the weirdest way, because, it's completely benign. It shows up, it rescues him because he's out of ammo, and all is well, and I've gotten my grandfather home, and now it won't be long before Lyle Swann's wife shows up. What was her? Claire. Well, it won't be long before Claire shows up, and all is well. Well, not so fast, Lyle. Not so fast. Close the book, start another chapter, and then figure your way out of that one.
But for the viewer,
yes,
like me, I enjoyed it. It's a popcorn movie. You go in, have some fun, get out.
Well, am I saying anything that says you shouldn't enjoy it or that you should be afraid of it?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, good. I was worried about installing that in the general consciousness, because that's one of the things you do as a writer. And I don't want to make people afraid, because I'm not afraid of anything. I know that sounds, I've already used the word hubristic, but I'm going to use it again. I know that it sounds hubristic to say don't be afraid of anything, but there's nothing to be afraid of if our source is all powerful, infinite, intelligent mind. Mm-hmm. If that's true, and I think it couldn't not be true, then we're okay. But we're okay if we just keep our hands and arms inside the car, keep the belts fastened, remember who we are and where we are, and then take the ride. Yeah. Just take the ride. You're not going to fall off. Well, you have to continue to assure yourself of that. And the ride is being afraid you're going to fall off. But, you take the ride.
A couple of rules along the way for safety.
That's right. Hands and arms inside the car.
Well, that's 2 segments down and only 1 to go. We talked a lot about the writing and the creation of the film, but we didn't talk about the music. And wait a second, Mike Nesmith is also a musician. It's all coming together. I can't wait to watch this part. Let's do it.
I wanted to ask about the music from Timerider, because I liked that, as a producer, I mean, the first thing you see in the movie is Michael Nesmith presents. So I was wondering, that's a lot of work. But in terms of the music, that's right. In terms of the music, I got to tell you, I enjoy the score. I enjoy the score outside of the movie, which I think
good, even better. Yeah, okay.
Because I went through it. It's got a nice song cycle of emotion.
Well, good.
If I may.
Yes, you may, and it's true. I made an effort to do that.
Yeah. So I mean, it begins with the energy and the fun, and he's driving the Baja, and you got the pump up the crowd and the techno sound. So it's the present, the future. And I went through the track list, and I just threw some words out that hit me as I'm going through it. Not going to read every one, but you have that energy. Then you go to the Old West, get the little twangy stuff, slow it down. You get some mystery, get some trouble and danger, little romance, little intrigue, building back to the chase and the tension and the resolution. So that is a nice ride.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Well, and that's a nice parse too. I mean, you're right. It does. Those are the pieces it falls into, or settles into, I should say.
How did you approach that? I'm sure because you're so immersed in the movie anyway. Were you writing it as you went? Did you step back and try to piece it together at the end?
When you start to write, one starts to write there. I immediately start to see, how am I going to explain this? All the readers are 3 years old, because they don't know you. They don't know what your history is. They don't even know why you're writing this book. Do you need the money? What is it that you're doing here? And the book became a project for me to clarify that and use all the characters in the book to clarify it, move it to another step. That wasn't the objective, but it was a thing that was happening, and I couldn't let it happen untended. I had to turn the light of intelligence to it. One of the things, I think I annoy people with this, especially my children, when I'm in a beautiful garden, and there are a lot of them here in Carmel, a beautiful garden, and I'm walking around, what I see is, aside from the fauna and the flora and the beautiful order of nature, but what I see there is the hand of intelligence. Somebody's out there weeding those gardens. Somebody's out there cutting that fruit, doing that. And therefore, it looks like this. It looks like this magical place. Well, it's not magical. It's a garden. It has a thing going on. It has photosynthesis going on. It's got the sun and the constellations and everything that goes on. That's all happening. That's all real. But we don't see it. And that's not time. That's just a measurement, a metric that goes by. So if that's true, then we ought to have some access to that. Makes sense that we would. It doesn't have to be the same access that you and I have to the local grocery store. That's different. That's driving your car down, and you get to get the milk, you go back home. And then there's a whole, how did the milk get there? But if you get into this time travel thing and you start to think, wow, okay, first idea that you bring in and assimilate is the idea that time travel is possible, that we can move around in time the same way we move around in three-dimensional space. No, time is not four-dimensional space, but I think in four-dimensional space, you see more of time than you do in three-dimensional space. And Einstein wasn't confused about this. He said that. He said, you know, there's more going on than we're seeing here. And you can measure it and you can work with it. And once you know that everything is basically frozen, that it's basically done, that 6 days the world was formed, whatever your belief system drives you into, once you get into that and you start thinking about, okay, let's say he did that, then what would happen? And that's the book. Goes from there. Now, who have I got? Well, I've got an airhead motorcycle racer from Southern California in Bellflower. And I've got a couple of smart-ass scientists who think they know everything. And I've got the whole Old West, which is you're starting things back there, the beginning of civilization, and it's just people shooting at each other and stealing goods. You kind of pull that together as an author, and you say, and you see it does not end in the end of the world. What it does is it creates the next step for the world. And while we can't see it because it's this enormous stairway that goes to infinity, that's the only reason we can't see it, because we don't know what infinity means. We have no idea. At least I have no idea. Do you? If you do, please share.
It's a secret, but
sounds right to me. But, you know, I'm grateful for your attention here, Steve, because you're at the points of this book where a lot of the book clubs that Melody does, people don't get it. They think it's a story about a guy who actually went back in time. And it's not. It is about this time travel we do. Do you have a beloved relative? Well, sure you do. Do you know who it is? Sure you do. Don't tell me. Don't break the secret of it. Keep it close to your heart. That is the beginning of the time travel. It's not memories. It is the creation of the world upon which you have founded your life. That's just where we are at this time. We found our life on these foundations that we've been given. We don't. Where would we get them otherwise? We were this big and we were made out of goosh. And it, you know, what is it that we're out there? So it's just another story about the journey that we're all on, and the madness that goes on and how it turns into comic books, which it does, of course.
Which is great because it just keeps moving the story forward. New ideas, challenge it, and keep it
Should
going.
be circular, should be circular. Should meet up again and go bonk, and you go, I've been here before. Well, don't stay here. Keep moving, keep moving.
Keep moving. This has been terrific. I love your philosophy, and I like how you shared that and tie that into my questions. So really
Well, thank
appreciate
you.
that.
I think you're doing good work there. After you and I talked, I did a little research on you and your history there and the paradoxical, and you fit. You're a part of the club. I don't know, how to get you all the invitations, but I'll send them to you if I get them.
Sounds terrific. Well, thank you. And Melody, wherever you are, thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And, great talking with you, Nez.
She's listening, and to you, Steve. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's the big show. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank Mike Nesmith one more time. Thank you, Mike, for coming on the show and talking about all that great stuff. And speaking of great stuff, check out Mike's website, videoranch3d.com. And speaking about websites, check out my site, paradoxparkway.com, along with Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You know the drill. Well, I think that wraps up everything for today, but wait, what's that? Hey, this is Steve from the future, and the next podcast is one of the greatest podcasts you'll ever see. Don't miss it. That sounds fantastic. I can't wait to see it. So let me tell you one thing before you go. If you're confused in the world and you can't make heads or tails of anything, remember this. You never know. You know?